Oh, football clubs. Well, where do we start? Enzo Maresca. Do you see him, Henry, as an upgrade on Thomas Tuchel, Graham Potter, Mauricio Pochettino? I guess we don't know.
Well, we don't know, but he's a completely different type. I mean, you now have a battle between clubs, sporting directors, ambitious owners who want to get their fingers all over recruitment, appointing head coaches rather than managers. And it's all about an individual fitting into the structure. And Maresca, I'm sure, will fit into Chelsea's structure. He won't be the driving force on recruitment. I think Ali, you were alluding to earlier about one of the reasons why Pochettino left, and there was a mutuality to his departure from Chelsea, was the fact that he wanted more say in recruitment. He wanted a bit more experience to go along with all these terrific kids, whereas Maresca will come in and work with the kids. I mean, I've seen a bit of Leicester this season. They were fantastic at the start of the season, had a dip as other teams worked them out. You know how brutal the Championship is, how competitive. And then he got them over the line, which he should do with a squad like that. You look at the players like Vardy coming off the bench, Winks and the wide players. Absolutely, he did what was expected. So look, it's a test. I would have stuck with Pochettino. I thought the way he was, had them going towards the end of the season. He's known for working and developing young players. Saw it at Southampton, saw it at Spurs. So I thought that was disappointing that he left. But they've gone from a manager to a head coach now.
See, in terms of the power struggles and with owners and managers and coaches, Henry, I take all on board, but somebody would have to explain to me the logic of a coach. Surely a top coach would rather work with players that he can pick. Surely that would make sense.
Definitely, but I guess to an extent, if you have a high turnover of managers and they bring their own players in, and you look at what's happened with Manchester United and their squad, you've almost got the sort of the fingerprints of 4 or 5 different managers on it. So I can slightly understand both sides. But if you look at the top of the Premier League this season, you have a manager in Pep Guardiola. That's his title. Arteta had his title changed, I think, a couple of years ago from, I think, was it first team coach to first team manager. Unai Emery, it was interesting. Aston Villa's announcement the other day of his fantastic new contract, rewarding what a great season he's had at Villa. His title, I think, was changed to manager as well. Klopp, clearly a manager. His personality was all over the club. So I do find it interesting, that balance. Maybe we've moved away slightly from the whole Ferguson, Sir Alex Ferguson dominating a whole club. But overseas owners with their the structures that they've worked here with, maybe in American sports, they want a coach, and you get more of this hire and fire.
Yeah, I was really interested, Henry, that looking at Manchester United, for instance, obviously, if Eric Ten Hag is replaced or not, whoever is there, they won't be signing the players. Now, I read Jason Wilcox is going to be the one who will determine the style of play. So you're not signing the players and you are not determining the style of play. The role becomes increasingly limited.
It's a really good point, Jeff, and particularly when you look at the 4 names that they are being heavily linked with. Obviously, McKenna is staying at Ipswich, which is fantastic because that team, that club, those supporters deserve this year, potentially, hopefully longer with him in the Premier League. But the other 3, Pochettino, Tuchel, Frank, and then you take a coach, an outstanding coach like McKenna. Where is the consistency of the approach in that? Are they going for a manager? Are they going for a head coach? I don't really understand. I mean, it looks like Ten Hag is out the door, but actually you look at the way that they played, they had much more identity in the cup final. I know it's only one game, but they still beat Manchester City. They still got a trophy, 2 trophies in 2 years. And obviously set against the disappointment in the Champions League and finishing 8th in the Premier League, which is simply not good enough for a club of Manchester United's ambition. But I guess if you get new owners coming in, they change the chief executive, so they want to change the manager as well. I mean, this is the era of the powerful owners.
It's an interesting one, Henry. Looking at with a couple of the guys on, we had particularly one of the Brighton lads on yesterday, and I heard another one on in the afternoon. About the potential of Graham Potter getting back there. One thing football fans have, they have long memories, and some of us, I include myself in this, can be bitter and twisted at times. What do you think of the potential of Potter getting back to Brighton, and would it be worth upsetting a section of the fans?
Well, how upset will they be if he settles quickly, the players respond to him, welcome him back, and he gets some good results? Potter, it makes a lot of sense for look, they're such a well-run club. They will have had everything planned in terms of who they should look at. And Potter just seems the perfect fit to go back there. Okay, he'll have to maybe put out the olive branch to a few supporters, but I think they would welcome him back overall.
Henry, look, there's so many other issues we could talk about. Just very briefly, so many managerial jobs flying around at the moment. Are you surprised that Thomas Frank is still at Brentford?
Well, again, another very well-run club with Matthew at the top. He's got good players there. He's in London. A lot of managers like living in London. He's settled there. But I think he absolutely deserves to be linked to the top clubs. You think what he's done, he's consistently got Brentford punching above their weight. And he is that perfect hybrid, in a way, of a manager who has his influence, whose personality just pervades the club. You've talked to him. He's such an impressive individual, but also he has those outstanding coaching and player development skills as well.
Yeah, I think I would be knocking. Natalie Sawyer will not thank me for saying that. I would be knocking at the Brentford door and knocking pretty hard if I was a club looking for a manager at the moment. Henry, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Henry. Have a good day, mate.
Pleasure.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.